Live from the Pines, your favorite East Texas sport podcast, coming at you live tonight. Tonight we have a special guest with you. Many probably know Coach Eli Reinhart. I'll let him introduce himself. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to give me an opportunity to come on and talk with you guys. Definitely appreciate the opportunity.
Coach Eli, you just wrapped up an incredible season, big game, big season this past season. Season before, I think this is y'all's second year at North Crowley, correct?
It's third year.
Third year, okay, third year at North Crowley. So you lose to Duncan on the semifinals, and you just, you beat him to go to the state championship game, and you win a state championship this year. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is our third year here. We all kind of came in as a new staff. Coach Ray Gates is our head coach, and he's kind of the mastermind behind it all. We had to hire 15 new coaches that year, and I was lucky enough to be one of them. And in 3 years at North Crowley, we were 42-2, with two of our losses being Prosper our first year, and then Duncanville last year in the semifinals. And a lot of this, process this year to get where we were at kind of started when we first got there. We had a great core of sophomores that played for us, probably 7 or 8 kids that received significant playing time. And, those were the guys that were headlining that state championship game for us, running around and making big plays, play after play after play. Those were guys that we were able to have for 3 years, that had been through our program, been through, our boot camp and our off season and everything that we were kind of building here. And we struck it at the right time. We had the right kids, right support in place. We have an amazing community here, and amazing support. Not only athletics, but from a whole school and community aspect. It's a great place to be. But this all started about 3 years ago when we got here, and we continued to build upon the success that was kind of laid. And we're able to get it done this year with a incredibly talented team, but just and also an incredibly difficult schedule that we had this year. But so proud of our kids and what they were able to accomplish this year.
Well, before we jump in, y'all schedule this season and everything, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about you, where it all started, your career. I know you coached at Division II level, won a national championship there. Let's talk a little bit about your success.
Yeah, so I originally started coaching high school football right away. I coached with my dad, who's been a head football coach now for 30 years at Montrose High School in Michigan. He's been at the same place his entire career, and I grew up in a football family, and football was always a big part of my life. So I knew coaching was something that I wanted to do at a young age. And whether it was football, I'm from a small town, so football, baseball, basketball, I ran track. I even wrestled when I was little. Like I did everything I could possibly imagine to stay busy. And I fell in love with coaching. When I was coaching high school, the first time I coached baseball and basketball, and then after I finished my undergrad, I decided to try the college route. I worked at Ferris State University, and in 2018, actually, was my first ever time in Texas. We played in the national championship at McKinney. And actually, we ended up losing that game. We lost to Valdosta State in 2018, and one of the highest scoring games ever in that D2 title. And then bounced around a couple different places. Had an opportunity to be a coordinator, the Division II level. In the last place I was at, Michigan, was at Central Michigan University. Spent a little bit of time there, and then found my way down to Austin. I was the offense coordinator at Anderson High School in Austin, kind of the Northwest area. Had a really great time down there. Some amazing people, great community, and just had a great time. And just circumstances didn't allow me to stay there any longer. We had a coaching change, and down here it's the coordinators are the first ones to go. So I was kind of looking right away, and fate led me here. I'm so blessed to be here at North Crowley. It was, it actually happened to be a coach that I had played against at Pflugerville Weiss. His name is Vernon Hughes.
Yeah, I heard that story. That's crazy.
Yeah, so he, he interviewed for the job, and he turned it down. And he, Coach Gates asked him if he knew anybody. He was like, I don't really know him, but you should talk to this guy. I think he's pretty sharp. And, thankfully enough, I was able to drive up there right after spring break, interviewed. I was driving through a storm. It was crazy. There's actually a tornado that went through Round Rock on my way home as I was driving through Austin, on my way back to Austin. I just missed that tornado by about 30 minutes. And Coach Gates actually called me right after that and offered me the job. And, I accepted it. And, the rest is history. So I've kind of bounced around, but, I've been here the last 3 years and definitely really enjoyed my time. And I love Texas high school football, and just everything athletics down here is just at another level.
Well, that's great. And, you're not lying there. Football is very different here in Texas, especially at the high school level. One thing I wanted to ask you, so your dad's been coaching Michigan for 30 years. So you got your passion for coaching from your dad, obviously. You grew up as a coach's kid and everything. So you make your way to Texas. What do you see the difference in football as in Michigan as in Texas?
One of the biggest differences is obviously just time. Time is a big deal. With being in Texas, the athletic period is a lot different. Like, that is so foreign to athletics in Michigan, and I think priorities are different in Michigan. I think people may think of athletics as kind of something that hampers the educational process or something that's not as important, where I think Texas really values the importance of athletics and education kind of being side by side for student success. And I feel the same way. I think, athletics has driven a lot of success, especially, I see it on a daily basis with our kids and what they go through. And, I think a lot of them excel because of athletics and the way that we're able to see them every day in the athletic period and be able to, talk to them, see how their day's going, all those things are great. But then just, it helps, one of the things that's a big difference too is in Michigan, you can coach kind of anywhere. You can be anything. You can be in any profession. And then also, in the afternoons, you can go coach football. One of the things that is really important here is, all the coaches here are teachers or full-time employees of the district. So, like, the structure, the people these kids are around, the quality of coaches is just at a higher level because, this is their profession, this is their livelihood. This is what, they do to feed their families, where in Michigan, it feels like some of the coaches are like, this is just like a side job, or it's important, but, how important really is it? So I feel like that's a big difference down here as well. And, obviously everything's bigger, the importance level of everything is just at a higher level. Like our stadium, I've never seen anything even close to that in Michigan. You got college stadiums, Division II schools that have, very similar, or maybe even we have nicer stadiums than that. So, everything's bigger, but there's just an emphasis on athletics that maybe isn't shared in our state, Michigan, that is shared down here in Texas.
Yeah, we are blessed to have those privileges in Texas. Athletics, education is very important, but athletics goes hand in hand. And like you said, you get a lot of these kids and, your star athletes, athletes in general, because, football is a way for these kids to, change their lives, change their families' lives. And, education goes with that until you get to a certain level, to the pros. And, a lot of these kids without football would not be in the situation, would not be in the position they are education wise if it wasn't for athletics. You have something to look forward to. You have something to keep you up from getting in trouble. We want to get the grades. We want to get NCAA qualified. All those things play a hand, with football or any sport in general. It just plays a huge role.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the things that we emphasize too is, I do agree, like 100%, like the relationship that, or the correlation that football or athletics has to student success, especially in our community, is huge. But, a lot of our, culture building, our team building, our development of our student athletes is to help them understand that if they don't make it to the next level or they don't play college ball, that there's still a future there for them and provide opportunities for them to be successful, if they don't make it. Like, that is really an emphasis for us is to continue building relationships, in building our student athletes, so that way they feel like when they leave us and they enter, whether it's the workforce or whatever it is that they do, they go to college, maybe not to play sports, like they have the tools to be successful. Even if they aren't that star college athlete, the same one that is going to play at a Division III or JUCO, they feel the same level of prepared when they enter, their campus or whatever it is. Trying to just make our kids leave our program, better people and prepared for the real world, whatever their circumstances are.
And I don't think a lot of people, give you guys enough credit, because I've seen it hand in hand. I'm from Lufkin, and I've had a chance to be inside the athletic program and see it from the outside how much our coaches do for these kids. This is a full-time job. I actually lived with the running back coach at Lufkin. We were roommates for a couple of years, Gunner Quick, and I seen all that outside work Gunner put in with these kids. Like making sure they get here. We got practice. Make sure they get to work. Make sure they're getting their schoolwork done. Make sure they're not getting in trouble. The outside phone calls. All those extra things go unseen that y'all do. And, most of these guys have families. They have kids of their own. They have lives of their own. And, they're raising their family at home, and they're going to school and raising other people's kids and, making sure these kids succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely, a whole nother side to it that you don't see. You come to Friday nights and you just see the product that's on the field, but, you don't see that, the rest of the week or kind of everything that goes into, developing those kids and just being there for them and providing support. Like sometimes that's all these kids need is just somebody to believe in them, provide the support that's necessary, and give them something to look forward to. Like you talked about, like football is definitely an avenue where, you can create a lot of success stories through the relationships they build and the qualities that they build, over time, just by experiencing something. And I was talking to someone about this the other day, like in today's world, like, it's really important for kids to just see something through. It's really important for kids to work really hard on something, and maybe, we succeed like we did this year, but even in failure, like understand the importance of the process of everything we went through and, everything they learned during this journey. Like, it's not all for waste. Like, I think a lot of these things that you learn in high school football through relationships and through just perseverance, like you can carry on to your daily life. And, it's really hard nowadays to find other avenues to do that same thing, and be able to, as coaches, like spread the messages that we're trying to preach to young people, and get across to as many people as we would like to. And I think football provides us that avenue because of the amount of kids that we see every day. I think we have close to 300 kids in our program now, and we're able to see them every day and impact them, in a positive manner on a daily basis is kind of the goal and the emphasis of why we do these things as coaches. Because definitely there's a lot of things that, I think a lot of coaches would tell you that they don't enjoy doing on a daily basis, but, they understand kind of what the greater purpose of why they're doing it and why they're pushing to do these things when, like you said, they have other things going on in their lives. And, it's just, I think that's what's important. And I think that's why a lot of people are in coaching.
Well, I know you started off your career on the offensive side of the ball, but has the offensive side of the ball always been your strong suit?
Yeah, I think, being from a small school, small town, you kind of coach both. So when I was coaching with my dad, I was coaching, we had about 380 students. We were a real small school. So, on Mondays we'd coach offense, and on Tuesdays we'd coach defense, so I got an opportunity to kind of become more well-versed on, the defensive side of the ball as well. Just in my time coaching small school football, I think it's a great experience for everybody to have to coach some small school and be able to adjust to the different scheduling and, how you manage guys playing both ways and all those things. And, I think that's really important to do at some point in your career. But, I've always been an offensive guy. I've always, we've changed a lot over the years. When I was in high school, we were like a triple option team. And then when I got to college, it became more of like a modern triple from the shotgun that has kind of evolved even more into just kind of a modern college offense is kind of what it has kind of become over time. But, I have a lot of experience in a lot of different offenses. But, at the end of the day, what's most important is, what's best for our kids and making that match our personnel and how we can best, attack defenses and go about being successful that way.
Well, you did a great job doing that this year, and I know you give all the praise to your kids also, but you put up some numbers. Your offense put up some numbers this year, and you had some great athletes. And everybody talks about Quentin Gibson, but you had a lot of guys contribute to that offense this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Quentin was a special kid. He had an unbelievable year, and his story is very well known. Coming into the year, he had, I think, one FBS offer. We tried committing to an FCS school before the season, and they told him they were full, or basically hold off on your commitment. And, it's funny because he ended up with about 30-something offers after that. And that's just a testament to him. He stayed patient. He stayed ready to go for his opportunity. And I think he's a great success story to a lot of programs that have kids that are very similar. They may not get their shot till they're seniors. And when you do get that opportunity, will you be prepared? And I think he definitely was to take center stage. But yeah, we had plenty of unbelievable talent, on offense. Chris Jimerson, it was a 4-year starter for us at quarterback. He was unbelievable this year. He was close to 4,000 yards passing, I think 58 touchdown passes this year. And, dynamic with his legs as well, going to North Texas. We had 3 Division I running backs, 2 that are seniors, Daniel Bray and Cornelius Warren. Daniel's going to Utah and Cornelius is going on some college visits. Right now he was at Purdue last weekend. He's going to Arizona this weekend. Both unbelievably talented. And then we have a sophomore running back, Keontae Ingram, who's going to be that next great running back to come out of North Crowley. He's got quite a few Division I offers already. And, he's done an unbelievable job for us, staying patient, being ready. In certain games, he had to take over for us because he had the hot hand, and, he was always prepared for that moment. And, he had a great year. Got to always credit our offensive line. We had an unbelievable group up front, led by Henry Fanuku, who's going to Missouri. John Turntine, who's one of the top offered offensive tackles in the country in the 2026 class. Ian Carter was an offensive tackle for us. Anthony Smith and Dawood Greer played a lot of time for us, kind of a split role at offensive guard. But, honestly, the heart and soul of our offensive line was his name is John Delgado. He's about 5'9", 5'10", about probably 220, 225 pound center. It was a 3-year starter for us at the 6A level. That no matter what, you were going to get his best effort every night he went out there, and he was going to give you a chance to be successful. Incredibly smart, savvy with his play, and just did an unbelievable job for us. And we're so proud of this group together. But John is definitely a special player and one I'll always remember because of how hard he fought being undersized against some really big defensive linemen in 6A. But we always managed to hold his own. But definitely some special players, and we have a great coaching staff too that makes my life a lot easier as well.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize this, but you're playing FBS football every week.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, it's crazy. And that's another difference between Texas and Michigan. It's just, the talent level is a little bit different. Every week, you're playing against at least somebody that's got either offers or is committed somewhere on a, weekly basis. So it definitely is kind of big boy football, especially up front. And then when you get to the playoffs, it's like the who's who of, where's this guy committed? Where's he going? So it's a challenge to scheme around it. But I think that's what makes this so fun for me.
And, looking at y'all's schedule, y'all blew a lot of teams out. And credit to your defense, your defensive players, your defensive coaches. But, y'all put some big boy points up on some big boy teams, like it's not hard to go beat Allen 30 day, go beat Permian 72-14, and Westlake 50-21, Weatherford 62-6. Like y'all hung some points up.
Yeah, it's it really becomes, I think, with our offense, how aggressive our head coach is, plays a part. Our defense gets stops. We just get possession after possession. We're aggressive. We go for it. there's not too many. I think we punted 7 times the entire season. And that's not saying that we weren't in position on fourth down to punt. We just don't really punt that often. It's just a feel thing that our head coach has, and he gives us the green light, and we'll roll. And I think that's a big part of our identity on offense. Is you don't have to just like 3 downs is not enough. You got to defend us for 4 whole downs to get off the field, and I think that extra element gives maybe teams a little bit more anxiety defending us, because you have to defend all 4 downs to get us off the field. And I think that plays to our advantage. It isn't something that we're saying that, we're not the guy, Coach Kelly, that goes for 2 every time and kicks an onside every time. But, we're pretty aggressive on offense. We're pretty aggressive with our coaching style. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's complementary football, right? Offense scores, defense gets a stop, offense gets the ball right back, goes and scores again. Like, that's the only way you can put up these kind of numbers. So I think as a program, we played really good complementary football, and it's a testament to our DC. Coach Harris, our head coach, does a great job, just putting us in position to allow the coordinators to be successful. And obviously, we have talent at all levels. So even when the backups get in, like, there's guys with offers that are backups that want to play, and we want to see them play. So, unfortunately, as bad as it feels, those kids worked really hard during the week, and they deserve an opportunity to go out there and get after it as well. So, but definitely fortunate this year to put up a lot of points.
So I had a chance to catch y'all's head coach on the Hood Scout podcast. How beneficial is it for you having a head coach that fully gives you the reins to your offense?
It's huge. It's the most important thing, as a coordinator, I think, is being vertically aligned in your program, like on all of your philosophies and everything you do, and having someone that trusts you, I think, is really important. It makes me never second guess myself. It allows us as a staff to feel like we can prepare the best plan possible, without necessarily having to worry if we're going to have to rework things or have to, change everything on the fly. Our head coach trusts us to make the right decision. And I think that provides us a lot of clarity. I think we know when we're going to be aggressive and do the things we need to do on offense, and, our overall strategy going into games. So I think that provides a lot of, stability for the offensive coordinator to kind of lean on, kind of like a backbone, in a sense that, your head coach has your back in these decisions. So you're able to feel like you can be more aggressive. For example, like calling a flea flicker on the first play of the state championship game. I don't think there was anybody more excited about the first call that we knew what was going in on Tuesday of that week than our head coach. And I think that comes with being, aligned, within our program, and having our head coach have, the utmost trust in us on offense.
So, like, having a guy like Quentin Gibson out there and the other guys you have around your offense, Quentin, his game, you really just tell him, hey, we're gonna run this, and you just get open. Like, I saw him, it was a state championship game. He caught that one ball, and I don't remember what the play was, and he literally went sideways, sideline, and he just outran you. Like, that dude, like, I don't know what's his 40.
His 40 is pretty fast. I think he's around 4.5, low 4.5, 4.4, confirmed. The biggest thing with Quentin, he has the long speed, but I think the thing that makes him different is his acceleration. Like, he can go from 0 to 60 like right now, and he can get going where, some kids may have a little bit more long speed than he does, but they're not able to accelerate at the rate that he's able to get away from guys that are pursuing him. Like, I've never really seen that kind of explosion. And then, for being, undersized or at his stature, like, he's powerful too. Like, you'll watch his film, like, he breaks a lot of tackles. He runs through, he makes catches, contested catches. Like, it's not just an undersized guy. And I don't think, his recruitment would have taken off the same way if he wasn't showing those things on film. But, every week was just another, like, oh my goodness. You just see that play that he just made. Like, some of it is just, it's unbelievable. And, I think too, when you have a kid that is that talented, um, you have to at some point as a coordinator just kind of be like, you just make it happen. We just got to make sure we get them the ball enough times. When something special is going to happen, we got to make sure our plan is good enough that we can get them in advantageous matchups. So teams can't just scheme to take them away. So like it was fun for us definitely, and just watching it, up close and personal. It was an unbelievable year, and the plays he made in the game were almost as good as some of the plays he made in practice on a daily basis.
Are
So
you
that
ever
was
just sitting on the sidelines, like shocked that this happened?
yeah. I mean that's there's a couple plays throughout the year that were definitely like that. One of the biggest plays in the DeSoto game, he makes that diving catch in the end zone, and it's just like I remember saying it out loud. Oh no, we overthrew it, and then it was like, oh no, we caught it. And there was a few plays like that throughout the year that were just kind of special. He comes up with it, or he breaks a tackle, or he gets out of. Byron Nelson, I think, was the clip. He was on our sideline. He caught a screen. It was definitely not good. It was not going anywhere. He cuts it back, breaks a couple tackles, and then he goes and scores. And it's just like he's the best player. He's I don't even know what else to say. He's the best. So that definitely helped our cause and made me look a lot smarter than I probably am on a game. So definitely a lot of fun though.
So being in the Metroplex area, you never really get a break week in, week out. You're facing, highly talented competition and everything. How do you keep your guys prepared and focused and locked in and not worried about, well, we got to play Duncanville this week. This guy's committed here. This guy's committed here. Like, how do you keep your guys just locked in and ready to play football?
I think it was pretty easy this year just because of the goal that they had in mind. Obviously beating Duncanville was a big part of what the goal and the expectation was this year, but the goal didn't stop there. The goal for us was to win a state championship, and that's what the kids have been working for, for those 3 years. So, in this year, I think our kids were so laser focused on what the end goal was. Even after, everyone talked about all week getting ready for Westlake was how we were gonna, come off an emotional high of beating Duncanville, and Westlake was gonna sneak up on us and beat us, for whatever reasons. And I think our kids took that personal, and I think it was one of our best weeks of preparation that we had all year. But keeping them focused, keeping them locked in, keeping the main thing. Like, I think our kids had, incredible focus, but I think as coaches, we did a really good job of framing our message each week of getting 1% better, every day, and continuous improvement. And then I think too, it goes into our head coach again. Like, our head coach challenges us every week. We're still sitting in the state semifinal, and we're still doing a little bit of good on good, a little bit of competition for us, to kind of, get the juices flowing, to get everything from not being kind of that same mundane process over and over and over again. Like, we like to switch things up. We like to do a lot of things with our kids to be able to, just have fun. I think that's a big part of it too. If you're not having fun, I think it's very easy to get bored and kind of fall into a lull. But if we can find ways to make it fun, if we can find ways to make it enjoyable and give them something to kind of chew on and prepare for each week, like, I think that definitely helps too with staying focused.
How does your day-to-day line up? We're in off season now. We're getting ready for spring ball and get ready for the season. Like, how do y'all guys approach the off season and into spring ball all the way into the season?
Yeah, so we, right now we lift during our athletic period, and then, after school we have guys that are, participating in track. We have guys that are now, this is our first year at our high school with wrestling. So we do have quite a few football players going out for wrestling for the first time ever. We have some kids going to basketball, so we, even at a big school, we do have a few multi-sport athletes. In track, if they're not running track, they're doing some sort of a track workout after school. And being able to run and sprint and be able to do something, outside of, just worry about football. So we do that. And then when we transition, we kind of do this for a while. We'll have boot camp mixed in about a month. Kids will go through boot camp that runs into spring break. And then what we'll do is we'll go into spring, and we don't do a formal padded spring ball. What we do is kind of skills and drills. For us, it gives us that extra scrimmage in the fall. We start a week earlier. I think the big benefit for us that we've seen is we get a really long look at, maybe sophomores we want to bring up on varsity, maybe freshmen that we've looked at. Over the last 2 years, we've had 5 freshmen start for us. At our level, we need to take a really long look and see. And what that does, having 2 scrimmages, this year we were able to scrimmage Euless, Trinity, and Allen, and we were able to get a good hard look at a couple of our guys, like even sophomores that maybe played freshman ball. We really want to see what they got and what they can show us. So I think that's really good, and I think we get a lot of practices out of the spring and the skills and drills portion during our athletic period. And I think it keeps our kids fresh. Obviously we're not taking anyone to the ground, so it's just a little bit, you don't have to worry as much about injuries and being banged up and all those things. I think injuries can still happen during skills and drills, but the grind of spring ball, I think we kind of avoid, and I think football remains fresh for them, kind of through the summer and then, into the regular season.
That's great. How many middle schools y'all have that feed into North Crowley?
We have 2 middle schools, Summer Creek Middle School and then Crowley Middle School feed into us. So we have 2 direct feeders.
Do y'all get involved a bunch like with the youth in the middle school and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. We have quite a few youth organizations that, use our fields and play on the weekends, and, we'll get involved. I think a big night for us is we have a community night, or we actually have a youth football and middle school football night, and we'll have an unbelievable amount of youth football players and middle school kids out there and supporting the team. I think it's great to get them around our kids. They get a locker room tour, sort of say, at our stadium, where they come in through the back door, they kind of weave through traffic, and they get to see all the kids. And I think that's a great experience for them, and get them around our kids, get them around our program. We'll do some youth camps in the summer to get them around also. And then middle schools, yeah, we're there a lot more in the off season. We're there as much as we can be in the fall. We're at their games, and then in the off season, taking the time to get down to the middle schools and check out the athletic periods and try to gain and garner more participation from those groups, and get them ready for kind of their first summer, summer strength as a high schooler. We get a lot of middle school kids that come to summer strength, but obviously, as you become a high schooler, you kind of kick it into another gear. So, getting around the kids at that age, I think, is really important too.
I'm a big believer that, it all starts in youth football and then it translates into, middle school football. And I just think if you're, preparing and practicing and learning the same way as these kids at the high school level are, when you get to high school, the transition is obviously going to be easier. You're going to be more prepared. You're going to be more locked in and knowing what's going on. Like, I think, high school football, the speed's completely different. But if you're running some base form package of the plays you're going to be running at the next level, as far as high school, when I get to high school, I know, okay, I'm a receiver. We've been running these plays, and it's just, it's more movement, it's more motion to it. You're doing a little bit more different things, but it's still the same base concept of what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, for sure. The most amount of continuity that you can create and, verticality in your schemes and systems, even your culture, it can bleed down into probably more like the middle school levels. But, the more and more that you can trickle that down and kids kind of understand your standards, or just the way that you operate, offensively, schematically, like that can help save time. If kids already know how to line up when they get to you, that saves you the time to teach them how to line up. And now you're focusing on more and more. And I think it just builds upon itself. And I think that's really important. I think what we've done a great job of, and again, our head coach has done an awesome job is branding. I think it's really important to get your kids wearing North Crowley stuff early and get them understanding kind of what it means to be a North Crowley Panther. And that's something we've tried to emphasize over the last couple of years is, we want them excited about playing high school football. And, it's a little bit different for us, being in a multi-school district in a major metro, like, there's a ton of youth football organizations. It's not like we kind of feed in. I was listening to Coach Dodge last night. We don't have like Dragon Youth Football. We have our kids play for a multitude of different teams throughout different areas, and they play all throughout, all their Pop Warner years. We have some kids that don't play middle school football. They play Pop Warner football until they get to high school, so there's a lot of different dynamics that go with it, but getting them around you, that's why it's important to have youth camps and see them in the middle schools, because you may not see them at a game because they're playing for, their Pop Warner team or something like that. So, being available, being around in the community, and then getting them understanding the importance or getting the excitement level up about being a North Crowley Panther is a big part of what we do as well.
Yeah, branding is very big. Me and Coach Dodge talked about it last night. A lot of kids don't know the kids at at the high school. They don't know the kids that came through and paved the way. And like you said, getting those kids wearing the North Crowley Panther, gear, getting them with the bigger kids, getting them in the locker rooms, all that stuff goes a long way. And, it makes them obviously proud to be a North Crowley Panther. And, when you get to that next level in high school, you know the standard already. You know what it takes to, be a North Crowley Panther. Okay, my brother was a North Crowley Panther. My cousin was one. I know what they went through. I know what they did. I know what the summer looked like for them. I know how tired they were, all those things. And you get to see those things at a young age, and you want that.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, is have them, something to look forward to. And I think we've obviously set a big standard now for our program and what the expectations are. And, I think a big part of it now is continuing to build, and not being, a one-hit wonder, or, a program that wins the state championship and then you don't hear from them for a while. Like, we want to be able to sustain success, and sustain success, starts at the lowest of levels and continues to build upward. We want to continue to grow our program for the future, and invest in, the future of our program, which is a big part of, our middle school push and, what we try to do to kind of, align our programs to be able to sustain success, not just have success one year and then fizzle out. We want to sustain our success here.
So the 2025 football season, we got a good bit of time. What are y'all looking forward to? Like, how many kids you returning? What's the strategy for next season?
Yeah, so we return quite a bit on defense. We have a lot of kids coming back. Starters wise, I don't know the exact number of starters because, we rotate a lot of guys on defense. So, it's kind of on defense, it's almost like 1A and 1B, for starters. So we'll probably bring at least 6-7 guys back on defense from that team. And then we'll probably have another handful of guys that have experience on defense. On offense, we definitely lose a lot, but what we do have is we have a lot of young talent with a lot, scholarship offers and opportunities to play at the next level that maybe just haven't been that starter or that consistent, guy that's out there every single snap. And just getting those guys ready to play, I think, is going to be a big challenge for us this offseason. And, we're excited for it. I'm really excited for the challenge of being able to prepare. I've already, kind of, felt the message that, we kind of existed upon, just having elite talent, and I think that is a huge part of it. But I think we do a great job of coaching and preparing as well. And, I think this year is going to be a big proving point for us, and something that is a personal challenge for us in our room. I know on offense is developing, the next great group of kids to go through here and being prepared to defend our state title, I think, is what the ultimate goal is. And I think our kids are hungry, and and are ready to go. We had a ton of kids, at workouts this morning. We had 70 kids in the weight room this morning ready to go. So, we're really excited about the group that we have coming back. Although they may lack, all the playing experience, at least on the offensive side of the ball, there is a ton of talent, oozing from this group that we're excited to see kind of come to the forefront.
With you being in the Dallas area, how do you look at it as far as, kids working with these outside trainers, year round and all those things? And, obviously 707 is growing big time as far as the select side of it. What are your thoughts on that?
We are, I am definitely 100% for kids seeking opportunities to get better. I think what's also important with that is that kids be kids, have opportunity and time to, be a teenager and, not spend every waking moment on the football field or, doing drill work, and then the other part of that is understanding the importance of rest, going all summer and working out all day, with your team and then going and seeing a private trainer in the evening, 3-4 days a week, maybe isn't the best thing for you, but I really think trainers and the 7-on-7 coaches do a great job with their organizations. I think there's really good ones, that are great for kids. And I think they help, provide that outlet for the kids because somebody's going to do it, and we really have some great trainers that work with our kids, that work with our 7-on-7 teams, that we can kind of, when they're playing for that team, we trust that they're being developed, they're being sent the right message, they're being held accountable, because we want our kids to be able to continue to develop, but also still understand, when they come to us, we still have the same standard. We still have the same expectations. And, there's a lot of things that you see wrong with 7-on-7. You see videos on Twitter and TikTok and all those things of, kids just acting a fool out there, and, we kind of have to rein that in a little bit, but I'm all for kids getting out there and competing, but also, being smart about it too. I think that's a big part of both the mindset of our players, our coaches, and, then we get excited when our summer 7-on-7 starts, when we're kind of doing it more as a team. And we're able to kind of focus on building for the 2025 season. We'll start that probably like right around May.
We got a question for you. Not a football question, but what barbecue tips has Coach learned from Big Chef Ray Gates?
Yeah, man, it's unbelievable, amount of knowledge that has been passed on. I have to write down a couple recipes, but, definitely anytime Coach Gates brings out the smoker, we know it's about to be a good day for us in the office or the kids. I think that's something that's a big emphasis for us. There's not a whole lot of things that I enjoy more than kind of breaking bread with our kids, being able to provide a meal, hang out, enjoy each other's company and fellowship. Like, I think that's a great opportunity. And Coach Gates, every opportunity he gets, definitely, like I said, brings up the smoker and, we'll have a good time. But, there's definitely a lot of tips. I've got, just a little pellet grill now. So, we're amateur when it comes to the smoking, and definitely
and that Easy Bake Oven does the same job.
Yeah.
I got one outside.
Definitely.
You beat it.
Yeah, I definitely don't know if I can pull up with a stick burner at my house at the moment, but maybe one day. So but definitely I've learned a lot of tips, and maybe one day we'll be able to even come close to the level our head coach is at.
Well, Eli, man, I thank you for coming on live from the Pines tonight. It was great getting to chat with you and talk about North Crowley and yourself also. Y'all had a phenomenal season. Shout out to you, shout out to the kids, and shout out to the rest of the coach on the staff. I think y'all are building a legacy over there, and y'all continue to do what you guys are doing. Before we go, I want to give a big shout out to our guys at Zilker Belts. Use discount code PINES936 for all online orders. Coach Eli, we thank you again.
Yeah, appreciate you for having me on. Thank you.
Y'all have a great night.
You too.